Hello and welcome to ETH Insights, where the leaders of today explore the ideas that will shape tomorrow. India's luxury housing market is undergoing a revaluation, and Bengaluru is at the center of it. Once overshadowed by Mumbai and Delhi, the city has now crossed 1,000 crore in ultra luxury transactions, signaling a deeper shift in both wealth creation and urban aspiration. Joining us today is Pavan Kumar, founder and CEO of White Lotus Group, whose quiet, design led revolution has redefined what luxury means in Indian real estate. In this conversation, we explore the structural tailwinds behind India's luxury real estate boom, Bangalore's rise in this segment, and how White Lotus balances scale with sensitivity in its next big leap, a 700 crore expansion into North Bangalore. Hello, Pavan. Welcome to ETH Insights.
Hi, Inka. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Pavan, to look at the luxury real estate industry, it has seen an inflection point, especially in the 10 crore and above segment. What structural shifts do you think has led to that growth, especially in Bangalore? And do you think it's a momentary spike, or is Indian luxury housing really coming off as estate that is investment grade asset class?
So firstly, if you look at the whole luxury industry as such has gone through a lot of change, particularly post-COVID, there's been a lot of effect of that on the luxury segment itself to start with. Having said that, while a lot of people think this is just the post-COVID effect, that's not necessarily completely true. If you fundamentally look at it, right? I mean, if you look at the whole, the way a country also has grown, around COVID, just pre-COVID, we were around $2.5 trillion economy, and we are 4.2 today. It's like a 70% increase, right? In the 5 years, we went through a 70% increase in the GDP. So everything has contributed, and particularly if you look at even the data on the ultra HNIs, so people with 250 crore plus net worth, we are almost 13,500 people actually in India of that. And very soon, another couple of years, we're going to be around 20,000 people of the people who are having at least 250 crore of net worth. And even if you take centimillionaires, which is like we are the third, world's third, centimillion population. We are around almost 1,200 people, like people with $100 million net worth. So all these things actually contributed a lot actually towards the whole economy itself. So economy itself has gone through a drastic change. So what happened mainly, like, while people talk about this whole COVID pandemic effect. So what happened during pandemic, right? When you consume a lot of a particular product, obviously you start thinking a lot about the product. That product happened to be a home here. So during pandemic, everybody was, during the lockdown, people were living in a home. So that the lot of thought went around, home, and people wanted a bigger space, right? Because during lockdown, they were work from home, and kids were attending school from home. So everybody started, and parents started living together with their kids and all of that. So people started looking at this whole home in a different view. Whereas pre-pandemic, it was like, that was a place where you eventually come back after a long day of work and you're outside, right? So that point of view has led to a lot of increase in terms of the size what they want, particularly in the luxury segment. So that is also definitely which contributed. Now, if you look at Bangalore particularly, one interesting thing about Bangalore also is more than half the population is it's a complete migrant population, right? So that changes the whole face of it, where you have at least 70% end users here. So unlike other geographies here, your end users actually who live here, globally well-traveled and all of that. So taking all this effect, the economy effect, and of course Bangalore also is India's top office space, right? We are almost 250 million square feet of office space in India. So India's highest office space lies in Bangalore. If you look at even GCCs also, right? India's highest GCCs are here. 1/3 of unicorns come out of Bangalore. So with all of this, the wealth in Bangalore actually is increasing, and mostly first generation and all of that. So because of that, yes, there's been a seam of change actually as far as the luxury housing is concerned. And I feel this is not a trend. This is not some blip which is just there. I think this is here to stay because of all the supporting factors which are there in the economy and all of that.
It's interesting that you mentioned the demographics of the city, because in Delhi and Bombay especially, the conversation around luxury has always been there. They've always dominated that part. But Bangalore's growth seems more organic, because it's not just fueled by legacy wealth, which is the case of Delhi and Bombay, but then more by new age capital and cultural confidence. So how do you interpret this evolution?
No, very interesting point. Like when compared to Delhi and Bombay, like you said, typically mostly business families, maybe second generation entrepreneurs to third generation entrepreneurs and all of that. So a lot of businessmen, when stark difference in the demographics here. Like I said, a lot of migrant population, lot of skilled workforce, and globally traveled CXOs actually. So there's very different set actually. So that changes a lot of things in terms of in a healthy way for Bangalore particularly. If you see people, majority of the people, like I said, 70% end users here, right? It's not the first thought for them which comes that I want to invest in a home and make money out of it. They want to buy a home, they want to live in it. So that changes the whole dynamic, right? So your speculation comes down. So you don't have this. So typically when you see Bangalore does not go through this highs and lows suddenly. It's always stable. So maybe it does not go as high as other cities, but it never falls as low as other cities also. That's because people who are buying have decided to buy. And typically in Indian context, if you see if somebody has decided to buy a home, that's a decision which has been made 3 years back. That's not it. You don't wake up in the morning and say, I want to buy a home today, right? So you would have made your finances, and you husband and wife would have calculated the EMIs. They would have saved some money. So it's a 3-year long process actually you go through. That's not going to change overnight because some economic conditions, right? Because you have been prepared for this event from a couple of years back. So that changes a lot of things in terms of Bangalore's context particularly. So very healthy end user driven global CXOs who travel a lot. So a lot of good exposure actually, and that works in cities' favor quite a bit. And in a way also that the demographic of people also here, they appreciate quiet luxury. So they don't like loud luxury, right? So that also works a lot in the favor that you don't have to really do so-called trends like what's happening in Dubai or what's happening in other places and all of that. So that's that way that stability in the city remains quite a bit. And like I said, with all a lot of unicorns come out of here, a lot of startup wealth actually. Like 14 years back when I started White Lotus, our average age of buyer used to be around 50-55. I think today it's less than 35. So the wealth creation which happened through startups and all of that, it's happening at a younger age, and people are buying homes actually. So that's very interesting, stark difference and interesting fact of Bangalore.
It's interesting that you mentioned quiet luxury, and I think in the last 14 years of White Lotus journey, you have very quietly resisted scale for soul.
Yeah.
Even while I was waiting downstairs, I was like, these words like sanctuary, soulful, they like, you instantly notice those.
Yeah.
So how have you tried to, form this balance between your deeply personal design ethos and scale at a time, especially when White Lotus is expanding?
The word quiet luxury, what I used. So we, at White Lotus, we don't really feel we are like builders, right? I mean, we don't even use that term anyway. We say we are a product company. Our product is a home. So we are a design-led product company. We are obsessed about design. So in the last 11 years, actually, we have done very boutique, like we call ourselves bespoke luxury, right? That's what we are. We struggled, or rather we debated a lot about this during particularly pandemic. I think pandemic in a way gave you a lot of time to step back and think, right? So we started thinking, why don't we do this bespokeness at scale, right? Then a lot of heated debate happened that, then it's not bespoke anymore, right? If you do things at scale, it's not bespoke. That's not necessarily true, right? I mean, if you just give an example, let's say Zara. Zara as a brand, they have scaled up, but they're still, it's quite different. It's not like a run-of-the-mill brand, right, actually. So fundamentally, we said that, when we started peeling down the layers, we said design is the heart of what White Lotus does. So if we want to do this at scale, the DNA which we need to have, the constant innovation has to be there. So if you try to replicate a bespoke thing as a copy paste without no innovation, just do like instead of one design, you make that into 10 times, that's not going to, that you're not bespoke anymore, right? So we need to constantly innovate. And that has been our DNA. So that is when we started feeling comfortable that, we can do this at scale. So case in point, right now in North Bangalore, we have a couple of villa projects signed and all of that. And usually, even today, actually, the design brief of all the projects, I personally write it. So after that, when the design brief is given to the architects, even today, I mean, this has been a tradition we followed at White Lotus for very long, where we at least invite 3 architects for every project, and we ask them to design. And we pick, it's almost like a competition without using the word competition. So in the end, we pick who is doing, who understands the DNA better, right? See, in the end, if we have selected an architect to design something for White Lotus, then definitely the architect is worth it. But in the end, we want to understand whether they understand the DNA better, right? So that gave us the confidence that we can do this at scale, and that is what we are doing right now, and that's giving us a lot of joy and comfort. I mean, the thrill in creating these kind of communities, bespoke communities at scale, is what we are currently at, and we are enjoying that.
You mentioned that you didn't want to be called the builder category, right? And I think it shows in your work as well, where White Lotus is not a typical real estate company, but then it has a very unique cultural imprint. So as a first generation founder,
Yeah.
how much of your own personal philosophy or
Yeah.
turning points shaped
Yeah.
the outlook?
Yeah. Why we don't like using the word builder, let's say, let's call property developer, let's say. I did not become a property developer because it's a family business or I had this dream of becoming a property developer. I became because I sold my previous business, and in the process of me trying to buy my own home, I realized there's a big gap in the market where, particularly in this 5 crore plus segment, I saw that, what people value, which is a good design and a home and all of that. So these kind of things were like not existing. I mean, people are not looking at that. People are just trying to sell an address. That's not where it ends here. I mean, just because you have an address does not mean that, you got your home, right? So we take this, quite seriously. So I always tell people here, right? I mean, internally at the office and all of that, we in our meetings also, we always consciously use the word home. We don't say a villa or a flat or apartment or all. We call it a home. So the reason why we say that is, for us, home is where a lot of memories are made, a lot of life happens and all of that. So when somebody trusted us in buying a home from us, we say that, yeah, that fellow actually trusted us, that person actually trusted us in building their home for us, because that means they feel that, we are capable of giving them a home where they'll make a lot of memories, where the kids will grow, multi-generation people will come. So it's like we give a lot of training to people who join here in unlearning. So actually, if you see, majority of the people we hire at White Lotus are not from industry background, and we like it like that, because we feel that, don't come with the baggage of the industry, because then you'll think like the industry. We don't want to think like the industry. So we tell them that, boss, they have trusted us in building their home. So let that sink in first, actually. And that's a DNA which is set across the whole company culture, and that has been, paying quite well in terms of how we think. And so here we are in terms of trying to see how we can scale that. So consciously we use a lot of these terms, and now it's become like a second nature to everybody here, right from the design briefs we write, and the designs we look at. Like, we have a lot of competitions here just for to see, what kind of design, and we get obsessed about every part of design, like main door design, kitchen design, bathroom design. We start looking at every part of the home, actually. So if we can tie the whole life experience of a home owner and give you the best experience everywhere. So the way we look at it is from the time you wake up till the time you sleep. If I can map every of your experience at your home correctly, your bathing experience, your breakfast experience, your evening dinner experience with your family, your living room TV watching experience. So we get obsessed about every part of the detail. When you start mapping everything right, then your home actually comes out, which is exactly what you would do if you build your own home, right? So when we do that, why should we do any different, right? Actually, so that's how this whole philosophy has came into effect, actually.
But talking about scale, you have described the next phase, and especially with the new North Bangalore project, as a leap ahead. But such leaps, they often come, at an invisible cost. So what are some of the trade-offs that you have had to make, and how do you still anchor yourself, while the city and the organization is growing?
That's very interesting, actually. So like I said, I'm a first generation entrepreneur. I come from a small middle class family. My mom was a school teacher, and dad was a manager in a local bank. I became an entrepreneur at the age of 25, so it's been 16 years of entrepreneurship now. Yes, entrepreneurship is a tough job. I mean, it might look it might look glorious outside, but it comes with its own challenges. Particularly this industry, real estate, is a new challenge every day, and it can be exciting also. Yes, it comes with its fair share of sacrifice and all of that. And right now, of course, we are quite excited about the scale. Though we have done this for the last 11 years, now we are trying to, like I said, right, we are trying to replicate the bespokeness at scale, right? It's very easy to scale up a real estate company, but we are not a real estate company, right? So we are making homes. So how do we scale up making homes, right? Actually, so that's a fundamental challenge. So if you see, our design team here is much bigger than the sales team, because we fundamentally say that when so much thought went into a product, all you have to do is just let the consumer know about the product. So all you are there, the sales team, what we say is, all you are here there for is to just make them aware that a product like this exists. Make them aware that there are some passionate people here who are trying to do something. Sale will automatically happen, because there are no flaws in what we have done. It's just they need to know that how passionate we are, actually. So that kind of excitement, of course, we are quite excited about this in the North Bangalore. On a personal front also, it's quite an exciting time now. I have a 1.5-year-old son now. My wife is an oncologist, and so demanding careers, demanding timelines and all of that. So we just try to be, as much as possible, we try to be understanding to each other. and try to spend as much time as a family at our home. And of course, I've been blessed with a great team at White Lotus, which gives me the strength to do these things. Yeah, without this support, yeah, this journey is definitely very challenging if you don't have the right people around you and the right family also around you. Yeah.
But it's interesting to see that how your own search for home
Yeah.
led you to start White Lotus,
Yeah.
and now in the process of building luxury, you're not just doing that, but in a way that you are rewriting the urban alphabet of desire.
Yeah.
So thank you, Pavan. Thank you for joining us
Pleasure.
today.
Pleasure. It's been pleasure talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you.